And one time he crossed while on stilts. Okay, that's a little crazy, right? Another time he was on a bike. Once he did it in the dark, and then one time he even did it while he was blindfolded. While he was up there, he would walk backwards, he would do somersaults, he would do backflips. The guy was a little bit crazy, right? But he was a famous acrobat. But still, doing it over Niagara Falls, come on. They wouldn't even allow that today, right? So, to top things off, one time he walked across the rope while carrying an oven on his back. Not an easy bake oven with a light bulb, no. Have you ever heard of a guy named Charles Blondin? He was a famous acrobat in the late 1800s. Blondin became famous as the first person to walk a tightrope across Niagara Falls. The tightrope was about 2 inches in diameter and 1,300 feet long, which is about a quarter of a mile, a little over a quarter of a mile. And there were about 25,000 people from both the American side and the Canadian side that came from miles around to see this crazy person walk across Niagara Falls. Now, to prevent the cable from swaying too much, they attached ropes every 20 feet on the cable that he was going to walk across, and they attached them back to the ground down here. But there was nothing that could be done for the sag that was in the middle of the rope, and that was approximately 50 foot of cable. And you just couldn't attach any ropes there to stabilize that area. And so hundreds of people examined the ropes, and everyone said that the cable was not going to hold him, and he was going to die. And so all these people came to just basically watch this guy fall off the tightrope and die at Niagara Falls. So he started on the American side, and he was holding a 26-foot pole to help balance himself, right? And it weighed about 50 pounds, this pole did. About a third of the way across, he shocked everybody, and he sat down on the wire. And he called for the boat down below, which is called the Maid of the Mist. If you've ever been to Niagara Falls, they have a boat that's called the Maid of the Mist. And he called for them to anchor down below him. And so he cast a line down, and he hauled up a bottle of wine. And so he drank some of the wine, and then okay, that's good. And he got back up, and he walked across the sag in the middle. And then once he got to the other side of the sag and everything was tight again, he broke into a run to get to the Canadian side as he's holding the balancing pole. So he made it to the Canadian side without a problem. And he took about a 20-minute break, and then he started back. Except when he started back, he was carrying a camera. Now, not like a camera that we have. Think back to the 1800s. Think of those cameras, those big honking cameras, right? Huge. And he strapped it to his back. And so now he's carrying the camera as he's got this thing, and he goes out and he gets about 200 feet away from the American side, and he stops and he takes the camera off and he sets it up and he takes a picture of all the Americans on the American side there. And then he gets it all set up, puts it all back on his back and everything, and then he gets back to the American side. It took him 23 minutes to come back from Canada over to the American side. Now, over the next couple of days, he announced that each time he crossed, he was going to do a more daring feat each time. And one time, he crossed while on stilts. Okay, that's a little crazy, right? Another time, he was on a bike. Once he did it in the dark, and then one time he even did it while he was blindfolded. While he was up there, he would walk backwards, he would do somersaults, he would do backflips. The guy was a little bit crazy, right? But he was a famous acrobat. But still, doing it over Niagara Falls, come on. They wouldn't even allow that today, right? So, to top things off, one time he walked across the rope while carrying an oven on his back. Not an easy bake oven with a light bulb. No, no, it was a real oven. Okay, a big old honking thing. And then he started a fire and he cooked breakfast right there while sitting on the tightrope. And then when he got done fixing the breakfast and everything, he hooked it all up and he lowered a rope called the Maid of the Mist back over, lowered it down, and gave somebody breakfast down on the boat down below. Okay, so the crowds on both sides of the river were just going crazy each day, and each thing, it just kept getting a little more dangerous, a little bit more crazy. And at one point he stopped and he talked to the people. And he said, "Do you believe that I can carry somebody on my back and go across?" And the crowd enthusiastically yelled, "Yes, we believe you. You know, you can do it. You're the greatest tightrope walker ever." And Blondie goes, okay, who wants to volunteer? And at that moment, the crowd went silent. So they had watched this guy do all this crazy stuff. They said that they believed, but their actions proved that they really did not believe. So you gotta take action. So if you and I take action on something, it means by that very action that we believe that we can accomplish a task. So if I say, or I say it all the time in my classes, I'm a big believer that in order to learn something, you have to do it. So the Bible even says in James chapter 2, it says, faith by itself, if it's not accompanied by action, is dead. So I went through a period in my life, this is years and years and years ago. I went through a period where absolutely every aspect of my life was going wrong. It was not going how I had planned, okay? And so work was horrible, family, health, everything. You name an aspect of my life, it was not going how I had planned it to go. So I started praying, "Dear God, what am I here for? I know that I was not put on this planet to be pushed down and stepped on by all these people around me, so give me a purpose. I know that I have a purpose. What is it? Because if I don't have a purpose, I don't want to be here. So give me a purpose." And I said that every waking moment that I wasn't thinking of something else. And I said it anywhere from 100 to 1,000 times a day after day, week after week, month after month. And about 9, 10, 11 months went by. And I was out for a walk. It was one evening. I had hurt my back, and so I was out for a walk. I couldn't sleep, which was extremely normal. And I started in on this, what am I here for? What's my purpose? And I feel like I got an answer, which was, that class that you've been wanting to put together, that's what you need to go do. And go develop this technique that you've been wanting to do. Spend whatever time is necessary to put it together, because it's never going to come together if you don't at least do that. And it was powerful. No, it wasn't a outspoken voice, so no, it wasn't like that. But it was just something that I felt, right? And so it was strong though, and I was like, whoa. And I went and I got in my car and I drove up to my office and I started pulling out my anatomy and physiology books and I started putting this information together. And I worked on this information. I would stay in the office until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd get back in the office at 4 or 5 in the morning. Family, friends, coworkers, everybody told me, "Mike, you can't continue to work like this." And I'm like, "You don't get it. I can't even start to work until I get this finished." And it took me almost a year to put all this information together for the technique. And so for another talk, I'll tell you about what I went through during this time, how almost every single person in my life told me that I was crazy to try and go after this and I shouldn't do it. And that's why today I never listen to anybody who tells me that I can't do it, or they're being negative about something or whatever. I just don't listen to it, because I would not be living the life that I have built today if I had listened to all these people 20, 25 years ago. So, but that's for another talk. So let's talk about you real quick. So what crazy dream do you have? What goal do you use a negative chaser with? So let me explain what a negative chaser is, okay? A negative chaser is something that we say immediately after saying a goal that we would like to reach. So an example. So I would like to lose weight, but I can't. Just immediately, bam. I want to exercise more, but I have this bad knee, right? We don't even, it just, boom, comes right out. I want to learn another language, but I don't have time. I want to move into a bigger and a better house, but I don't have any money. I want to go see this movie, but I don't have any friends. So we have these things that we say, but we immediately follow it with a negative chaser. It's what I call a negative chaser. And we throw it out before we even let our brain accept the goal that was presented. And therefore, it prevents us from being able to believe in what we want. So is there a goal that you throw out there, but then you follow it with a negative chaser? And you need to think about it. And you may not be able to think about it or come up with it right now, but I can almost guarantee you that you have a goal that you follow with a negative chaser. I can almost guarantee that you do. So what you have to do is you have to think about it and go, what are some goals that I want to do, but I follow it with a negative chaser? What do I do? And then once you think of one, once you come up with it, write it down. Now, I have another talk on why that's important, but we're not going to get into that right now. So try to think of a goal in the different aspects of your life, something that you really want in each area. So the different aspects, again, that we can make goals in. We have our health, extremely important. You got to have a goal for your health. We have our finances or our business. We have our family goals. We have our spiritual goals. We have our friends or our social goals. That's 5. And then 6 is our personal goals. And this is just something that you want. There doesn't have to be a reason behind it. It's just something that you want. There's something deep down that says, I want to do this. And there doesn't have to be a logical reason for it. So right out of the gate, it may seem too far away, that it's just a wish. And that's okay. That's okay. You can have something that you don't even know a time frame. You don't even know, how to make it come about or anything. But keep thinking about it and keep saying to yourself, if I did this, maybe I could reach that goal. If I did this, I could probably reach that goal in 50 years. But I could get there. Now you're at a starting point. Okay? You're at a starting point. You now believe that you can do it. Yeah, it's going to take you 50 years, but at least you believe that you can accomplish it. And so now what you do is you want to start thinking about it and going, okay, how can I cut that 50-year time frame down? And how can I condense it down into maybe 10 years? And it's 10 years. In this day and age, people go, 10 years? Look, 10 years is going to come and go. So you might as well start taking steps towards your goals anyway. The 10 years it's going to pass. You might as well be walking towards a goal, and in 10 years you get there, right? And maybe you make it in 8 years. Maybe you make it in 6 years. But that time is going to come anyway. So we might as well have something that we want to go after, right? All right. So like I said earlier, there are so many times that people told me that I could not do what I wanted to do. And if I had listened to them, I would not be living the life that I have right now. So if you really want something, do not listen to the negative people. You gotta believe that you can get there, and then you have to start. So believe and do. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't reach your goal. That goal may be the very reason that you were put on this planet. If you made it this far, smile.